but you've got the different dynamics. Tell us what you're trying to achieve within the fitness professionals industry, and explain kind of what you come up against when people are who don't understand what you're trying to get at.
Okay, so my particular specialism is soft tissue work. I trained as an injury rehab soft tissue specialist, and we've had this conversation before. What was frustrating me was the fact that I could do what I did. I was good at what I did, but it didn't always fix the problem. And the hierarchy in our industry basically says, well, if you can't fix the problem, then you sort of pass it up the chain to somebody who's more senior than you, which is important. Don't get me wrong. That's really, really important when something's important enough that it needs solving and you can't, so you pass it to somebody else. But my take on this is, and the science that I've been associated with helping to develop says that everybody in our industry has a particular niche place that they are good at. Doesn't matter what they are, okay? But actually, to solve most rehab problems, soft tissue rehab problems, requires the input of several different specialisms. Right. Okay. So it's like going into hospital. You're under a consultant, but that the team that's working with you to get you out of hospital is sort of multidimensional, multidisciplined. Okay, and they meet up on a regular basis and have multidisciplinary meetings where they talk about you as a patient. Consultant's there technically in charge, but he's not there in a superior capacity. He's just there as okay, this is what we're going to do next, and that may be handing over to somebody else who takes charge for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Someone has to be in charge, don't they, from that point of view? Yeah. Somebody has to be the person that takes all the information with agreement and then moves it on. Somebody has to be that final, the buck stops.
That doesn't happen in our industry at all.
Right.
Okay. Mainly because of the way the industry is consumed.
Yes.
Okay? We have a musculoskeletal injury, we do something with our back or knee or whatever, we will go to whoever we've always gone to, and it'll be one of a set of professionals. But that doesn't always work, and because what everybody does works, but it works at the right time for the right thing, and plugging them together in the right order is what's important.
Right. So what about a classic example? Let me interrupt you briefly. A classic example when I come across networking, and you get the chiropractor and you get the osteopath. And to the novice, the outsider, they both do the same thing, slightly differently. And the osteopath will say, oh, the chiropractor is all about cracking things and that's not safe. And the chiropractor will say, but sometimes you've just got to get in there and get what the problem is and get it sorted. And the osteopath is too soft and doesn't get it done. They always criticize each other. They never go, actually, osteopaths are really good. Or the osteopath will never go, well, sometimes, the chiropractor just really understands. Never, ever, ever have I heard acknowledgement of they do a good job or they get the job done or, yes, it would be great to work with somebody. They've always been anti the other. Like every single chiropractor is rubbish according to this one osteopath, and every single osteopath is rubbish considered by this chiropractor. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. And so my mind, and I know many people said I'm a bit of a Pollyanna, but if you're both helping a person, there must be things you've learned. And I know the historical side of where they both started from, it's a bit like Montessori, or different people are working together to understand the whole philosophy, and it's birthed, and then one goes off in one direction, one goes off in another direction, and you end up with two different practices.
Yeah.
But this is what you're approaching every day, is that so many people are ingrained in their industry with I'm right, you're wrong.
Totally. But also the way we consume, because as a person who needs to consume somebody in the industry, we will generally go where historically our family have gone.
Yes.
There'll be families
really, isn't it?
Yeah, we technically will have a family or a group that tend to always go to osteopaths and would never go to chiropractors, just to use the two that you mentioned, and there'll be the same tribe who will always go to chiropractors and not to osteopaths. The reality of the situation is they do different things in a different way, and actually, for a lot of problems, musculoskeletal problems, you actually probably need a bit of one and a bit of the other.
Right.
Okay, done in the right order at the right time. Think about it as an onion with lots of layers. Okay, you can't get to the layer that's 5 layers down until you've peeled back the first 4. But it might be one of those professionals who needs to peel back the first couple of layers, and another professional in a different discipline who needs to peel back the next 2 layers before you get to the one that's actually driving the problem, which needs could require another professional entirely. Okay, now. There's a whole host of cost issues here because most of us don't tend to have the money to be able to go and see this professional, then this professional. Okay, I get that, but that's something that can change. But we also need to change the fact that all of the professionals in the space, chiropractors and osteopaths included, but also all the others, and I include exercise professionals as well, so personal trainers, Pilates, massage therapists, the whole space in this industry. They all have their particular layer of the onion which they need to unpeel.
Right.
And it depends how those layers have been put on that onion as to which order they're all needed to. In a sense, we need to get to a point where they're all working together. Okay, and we're getting to the point now where we can work out what the layers of the onion are and who needs to do what at a given point in time. All right, which is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I've come across clinics where you've got multiple professions. You've got the chiropractors and osteopaths, you've got massage therapy, and you've got the others as well. Lots of others as well, all working in the same space environment. And the client doesn't join doesn't join to sign up with the osteopath or the chiropractor or the physio or the massage therapist. They join the establishment, okay? And then somebody takes ownership of you and your problem to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. It's exactly like the hospital multidisciplinary team.
Yeah.
Yeah. The consultant takes ownership of getting you from A to B, but actually that consultant's involvement physically will be very small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be the other professionals in the team who will slot in at the right time. So in our industry, we need to mirror that somehow. Okay. So have
you seen this in practice already? Is it up and running somewhere?
Absolutely.
Working well. And it's just about educating the others in order for them to realise the benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. There is some common understanding, common language, common tools that need to be developed across the professionals so they can work and talk to each other in an effective way. Yes, and that's where I'm working. That's what I'm doing with, a lot of is building this language and understanding with people. But ultimately, I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not an osteopath, I'm not a physio. But they've got skills that I don't have, and I accept that, but I know where each fits into the layers of the onion. Yeah, so it's then a case of getting them all talking together and working together in this way.
If you were to put their hat on in the space that they are in at the moment and say, well, why would I have my client go to 2 or 3 other people in this little consortium when I know what's wrong with them already because I'm a professional and I know I can fix them without them having to go anywhere else? Why would I give that person away? What would you say to that?
It's a really important question. We've got to break down these barriers in the way we're trained. Yeah, we've got to get it, which is why I'm talking to training providers. So I'm not personally talking to physio, osteopath, and chiropractic training providers. I'm talking to personal trainer, Pilates, massage therapy, sports therapy, and other people in that space. They're the training providers, and that's the message we need. When I was trained as a soft tissue specialist, at no time was there ever a discussion about anybody else in the industry and what they could do to help me. Not once. Not once.
What a shame.
And so it needs to start. We're not going to. We're not going to solve this overnight. We're not going to solve it quickly. But we need to go to the root. We need to go to the training. If we really want to make an impact, we need to go to the training, which is why I'm talking to the training providers that I am. I was at a conference last week and spent a lot of time talking to training providers. But yeah, it's a. I don't have an answer. All I know is that the science and the evidence is pointing to the model I've elaborated. We need to get that out there and being talked about and discussed. But also the tools involved in that need to be starting to be trained in the route training providers actually doing the training out there. Because
what is levelled at some fitness professionals is that you get me in, maybe I've got an ache here, and then 6 months later I'm still coming back to you to make sure it doesn't come back. It's that kind of fear-based selling in order for that person, that professional, to have a client ongoing. And because they have to win their own clients, and because they're not great in business and therefore probably not great at marketing or great at sales, there is that fear factor and that scarcity mentality of, I have to keep this person for as long as I possibly can, as opposed to thinking of the moral, actually they're okay now. Maybe just come back once every 6 months if you need to, but you're doing okay. You don't need to keep coming back. So a lot of people are aware that there's the door is always left open for them to kind of, I think you probably should need to come back. I was really reassured by one lady that I went to. I had whiplash, and I went to her session, and she was a specialist in myofascial release, and she said, you'll probably need 3, maybe 4 sessions from what you've told me. And I was walking around like this. I was, struggling. But she caught me like the day after it had happened. And so she did all the exercise things that you have to do and place your hands on me and all the rest of it. And I went away going, oh, gosh, that feels good. And she said, yeah, I'll see you next week. And then we'll measure up what we need to do for the other 3 or 4 sessions. Well, I saw her the following week and she said, how's it going? And I said, I'm pretty good. I'm fine. So she said, I think you might be done. So she said, spent 10 minutes going over. And she went, no, that's fine. You're off. It's wrong. Don't want to see you again. How many people do you think I've told about this woman? Because she went, I wasn't caught into 6 weeks worth, which potentially, she was just giving me the background of, depends how bad it is, but, we maybe have to see you for a few weeks. But it was 1 and a bit sessions. It wasn't even 1.5 sessions. And she didn't even pay me for this, charge me for the second session. I was in there, you're good enough, off you go. Yeah. It was a breath of fresh air, absolutely. There are people out there, don't get me wrong, there are wonderful professionals out there that really understand the value of morally looking after your clients and turning them into raving fans rather than trying to keep them that bit longer because they've got money in their pockets. And yet, on the other hand, I've also been to people where, you should come back next week. You need to come back in. I reckon you should come every 3 months. And whatever it is, there's been this little guilt factor of, if you want to be walking, if you honestly, your back is in such a state, you should be doing this. And if you want to be able to walk when you're, and I was like, whoa. And the minute they start putting that little bit of pressure on, my sensibilities go, ooh, okay, I'll go and find another discipline and find out a bit more about that and what I can do. So where you're at is very similar. Hang on 1 second. That was fun. Little interlude there. I just realised my camera was going, and I thought I plugged in on my laptop the cable, but I forgot to turn it on the wall. So what you are going through is very similar to BeCollaboration, because there are an awful lot of people that come to us and they're in that fear and scarcity mentality. We've had a printer sit in the room going, yeah, but if you get another printer, how am I going to make any money out of this? It's not about that.
Which is why certain business networking organisations out there have a model where they only have one of each, just one of each profession.
Exactly. And the competition, keeping competition in the world at the height it is at the moment, is keeping people in fear and keeping people in this scarcity mentality, which doesn't serve any of us. If we have the mentality of abundance, if we realize